couple of things that you do outside of Hollywood, and we did not know that you're also a magician in Hollywood as well. You can tell us all about that.
Well, I live very close to the Magic Castle. For people that don't know, the Magic Castle is the cream of the crop of magicians. Every magician grows up dreaming that someday they'll be good enough to play the Magic Castle. And I just so happen to live very close to it. I met and fell in love with the man he was a magician, but he doesn't perform anymore, but he was writing for their magazine. And so he took me all over the place. I got to meet all these famous magicians, and they started, I wanted, because he was interviewing them all for the magazine and stuff, I wanted them to be able to talk in front of me. And magicians will never talk in front of a muggle. If you're not a magician, you don't get to know anything, as you well know, probably.
Right.
So I thought, well, I want them to talk in front of me. So anyway, I worked at this act, and I was so fortunate. These people are like gods at the Magic Castle in the world of magic. Maybe going down the street, people don't really know who they are, but at the Magic Castle, they're gods. And they were so generous, and they sat me down and they taught me things. And so I worked up this audition. I had to audition 3 times. On the 3rd time, I finally made it in, and I got to call myself a magician member. I don't really perform there. Basically, it's so much different to walk in there as a magician than it is to walk in as an associate or as a guest. It's just a whole fraternity. It's the only, I've been an actress all my life, but actresses, they don't go, hey, I'm going to be in town. Where do the other actresses hang out? They don't do that. The magicians do. They'll say, okay, I'm going to be in Albuquerque. Where's a good place to go? Where's the magic store? Where do people hang out? What's a good magic club? And then they get answers. And also, I've never seen like Meryl Streep or Susan Sarandon sit down with a new actress and teach them some stuff. But if you walk into the Magic Castle, like the biggest guy in magic will sit down and teach a brand new person something just because he cares about them and just because for the fun of it. And they're just the most giving people in the whole world. Everybody's a little weird. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's no such thing as a dumb magician, but because you have to be so focused, and it's hours and hours and hours daily of practice. You have to be a little OCD. You have to have that temperament. Otherwise, you could never do it.
And how long does it take to become a magician as well, too?
All your life. See, that's one reason I don't even pretend that I'm ever going to be good enough to perform. That's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to belong with them. If I had to, I could. I could certainly be in something. But these guys have been training since they're 6 years old, every single day. And I came to it as an adult. And there are ways that I could make up the time like that. But it would take my whole life. And, at this point, I have a career and I have others. I don't have the time to invest in it like you do when you're a little boy or a little girl. So that it takes everything they've got. And they sit there and they do it in front of the mirror. And now they tape themselves. And it takes forever. And then it's not just learning the trick either. One of the most important things I learned about magic is it's entertaining. Yes, the trick is very technically complicated and you have to do it right. But that's not entertaining to watch. So on top of that, you also have to be entertaining. You have to make the audience fall in love with the effect. Otherwise, what's the point? So it's really something. And it's a vocation because they invest their whole lives into it.
That is amazing, too. And who are some of the famous magicians that have come out of the magician school?
Oh, my God. Well, Orson Welles was the president. Cary Grant was the president. Johnny Carson. A lot of actors, and you can kind of notice that there's a intensity in all the actors that I'm saying. You can now that you hear the names, you go, oh yeah, I can see where he'd be that focused in order to do that. So and also, not a night goes by it's not peopled with a bunch of actors and fans of magic. And Johnny Depp is there a lot, and without name dropping and being silly about it, but there's always famous people. And in the 60s, I think, Bill Bixby did a show, and the show was that he was this wealthy magician who lived in the Magic Castle and went around solving crimes or something like that.
I remember Bill Bixby, that's right. I remember him.
so so anyway, that's still on YouTube, and it's one of the things that we tell people they got to go watch, because in no way are most magicians, other than David Copperfield, are they like fabulously wealthy or any of that stuff. And nobody lives at the Magic Castle. Over 100 years ago, it was somebody's mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And it went through several incarnations. But that's one thing that you have to try to do. It's a Hollywood landmark, and you can only get in if a magician member invites you. And believe me, people have tried. They've driven up and they've said, "Don't you know who I am?" It can be the most famous person in the world. If they don't have an invitation, they can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a dress code, so it's like, I don't care if you paid $5,000 for that pair of blue jeans. We don't allow jeans in here.
Uh-huh.
And it's the funniest thing, because it's totally kind of the opposite of the LA lifestyle, where kind of, anything goes, and, okay, they're blue jeans, but they're $10,000 blue jeans, so let them in. Or, it's too much trouble to argue with this person, and TMZ might show up, so just let them in. None of that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have their rules, and that's it. It's almost like a different time.
That is amazing, too. And where can people see your magic act, and how often do you perform, and what days and times?
Well, I don't. That's what I said. I remember I'm part of a couple that's there. That my husband was writing for the magazine. I don't perform there. That's what I meant. Is that because these guys have been doing it since they were 6 years old. I just wanted to be part of it so that the magicians would talk in front of me.
Oh, got it. Okay, all right. Yeah, because I thought you were going to give like in a magic show or anything like that. I apologize. So I just wanted to
no. It's fine.
Just make sure that
everybody assumes that, and the truth of the matter is, I could go over there, I could perform downstairs, or if I needed to be in, if somebody asked me to be in their act, I could do that. I just don't right now because I'm really busy acting, and in order to be a good magician, you have to practice all the time, and I don't have that kind of time to put into it. And I like to be as best as I could possibly be in everything I do, and I would never up with those. They're masters of their craft. I would never get up there and do a half-ass job. If I was going to work with them, I would devote my soul to it, and I don't have time to do that right now.
Right. That is amazing too, and of course, you take it to a high level, and of course, you also had some rewards coming your way as well too. You've also been in a superior Showtime mystery called Face Down from 1997. You also co-produced the award-winning festival short Sam and Mike back from 1999. And, of course, you also been in True Blood 2008. And you also were in Outward Bound. And you also TV and co-host of the podcast Rick's Martini Bar. But first of all, let's get to some of your accolades that I mentioned as Face Down and Sam and Mike. You could also tell us a little bit about that and know what kind of awards you've won.
Oh, well, I've won several horror awards for sure, but the Face Down thing, it's written by the same guy who wrote and directed Night of the Comet. So he wrote this, and he said it a couple of years beforehand, "I wrote this for you, with you in mind." And I said, "They're not going to use me. You're going to have to get whoever they want you to get." So he calls me up and he says, "I got Joe Mantegna, Peter Riegert, and Adam Ant, and there's no reason I can't have you." So I got to play a schizophrenic, which was fabulous and not as hard as you would think. And it was just fabulous working with all those people. Joe Mantegna is a fantastic person to learn from, and Peter Riegert, and Adam Ant was a doll. And it was one of my favorite parts because I got to do two different personalities, which was great. Then I came back to Hollywood and I said, "Here's my tape on all that stuff," and they said, "Well, you're playing two different people here. How am I supposed to pitch you?" Well, how about as a versatile actress? How'd that be? No. We got to figure out, how do we pitch you?
Or just go to Adam Ant and say, "Hey, let me be a goody two shoes."
Yeah. Well, one of them was a goody to space cadet, and the other one was different than that. So and then what else did you ask me about? I do a lot of theater here too. So the Outward Bound thing and all that stuff, that's theater. I have a movie coming out called Exorcism at 60,000 Feet with myself, Adrienne Barbeau, Lance Henriksen, Bill Moseley, basically Biling. Basically, if you see these people, because they're icons of the horror genre, if you see these people all get on a plane at the same time, unless they're going to a horror convention, stay off that plane, because it's like a disaster. The disaster crew walks on the plane because we're all famous for being in those kind of movies. So that's almost like a stoner comedy. It's really It's really out there, but and it's kind of it's boy humor. I think it's just I kept saying I can't believe we're doing this. This is so wrong, but it's funny. It's very funny, and they got Adrienne Barbeau to do some stuff that you wouldn't think that she'd do. Just in the spirit of goofiness, you know. And then I did another thing called Blowing Up Now, which will be out. And a lot of the young filmmakers coming up now harken back to what I was famous for in the '80s, and so they'll get me to do something that's about the end of the world.
Oh yes, it sounds like we're coming to that point as well too, and you know they're having all these themes and everything like that, and so it's just amazing what they go through as well too, and of course you know well they get back to what you're doing as well too, but then again you also were honored very highly by a German band. They honored you in a song about Kelli Maroney.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, for some time, I mean, I hit a point where I thought, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. And you can't, this is a very hard career to be in if you're not enjoying it. But what happened is in the '90s, the women's roles sort of became victim-y. And so I'm never going to be the actress that stands there and plays the guy's girlfriend because I'm way too quirky for that. And so I played Mark Harmon's mother who committed suicide, and I went, I don't like this. I hate this. I'm the hero. I'm not the victim. I don't kill myself. I don't want to do this anymore. So I started looking around for something else to do. And so for a couple of years, you know, I didn't do any movies or anything like that. And so they said, "Where's Kelli?" And so, and I didn't know it. I didn't know this was happening or anything. But then people started telling me that, you know, people write about you on the internet all the time, and you know. And I went, oh my God, you know what? I'm not really enjoying what I'm doing. I'm just going to go back and do what I'm supposed to be doing, which is being an actress.
Mm-hmm.
But they had written this song, I Don't Exist Anymore, because it was like, where are you? So that was, you know, that was a good wake up call for me because my fans busted me.
Mm-hmm. And here you are. I mean, right here on the Mike Wagner Show. Everybody's asking where's Kelli Maroney.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all I can say is here you are.
That was some years ago. You know, that was not recent where they wondered where I was. That was, oh gosh, maybe going on 20 years ago now, 15 or 20 years ago. I've been back for a long time. Don't worry.
That's amazing too. You also interviewed in Invasion of the Bee Girls. You can just tell us about that if you like.
Well, that girl, she was looking for her mother. She had been a runaway and came to Hollywood and had her adventures here and everything, and she didn't know where her mother was. So her idea was, she wrote this book, and she said, I want to get us on all the talk shows and create a big splash, and so maybe my mother will see me. And you know what? It worked. It worked. In retrospect, am I happy that I did that book? No, I really wish I wouldn't have, but I got kind of sucked into it because I wanted her to find her mother.
Oh, my.
And she did, but, you know, in the meantime, I was stuck with that stupid book for the rest of my life, but that's okay. That's okay because sometimes people are more important than your so-called career moves, so that's fine.
That's true also, too, and, of course, you were also in The Groundlings and Second City, so were you looking to be a comedian at one point as well, too, or just simply be an actress?
Well, I'm a comedic actress, so as far as stand-up goes, no. But most of the theater that I do is comedy, and a lot of the roles that I take on, like even if it's a horror movie, it's a horror comedy movie, or you know, I always play the. It is a funny thing when I was on the soap, which is dead serious. I've done a couple of things which are dead serious, and I love that too. But I would find myself as a teenager getting bored on the soap and like. If I just push it that one little bit further, it becomes really funny. And they'd say, stop it, Kelli. This is not funny. You got to stop making that face when we cut to you because this is not funny.
Stop, Kelli, stop. Go, Kelli, go.
So you know, I always kind of had that. I was sort of biased that way as I kind of like to make things funny. So I would. Not really a comedian, not like Carol Burnett, but I'm a comedic actress.
That sounds amazing, too. And who are some of your favorite actors and actresses growing up, especially in the Twin Cities, and what are some of the TV shows you enjoyed growing up?
Well, Mary Tyler Moore, I mean, when I was growing up, that house that they used for the exterior of her house, the people were mad because they didn't really pay them what they're supposed to be paying them in order for them to use the front of their houses where she lived. And so they put signs like F. Nixon and whatever it was. And so we all knew where that house was. I don't know. They